All right, so we spend a lot of time making sure that we're actively profiling and identifying where the demand is coming from with our entire buying process. The segment of clients that I look after for Broadridge is in global capital markets. So it's the largest banks and broker-dealers on the planet. And then we have a global audience. And it's always a highly complex, multi-touch, multi-year sometimes buying cycle with lots of different people involved, right? Broadridge, unfortunately, we don't sell anything that simply add to cart and then I'll buy it. So it's reliant on my team to do a lot of work, both on the human interaction side as well as looking at the market intelligence that we get from the marketing channels, but also from a very close interlock and partnership with our sales and our account management teams who are facing off against the clients. And one of the things that is important to that process is continuously monitoring the engagement and the reactions that our client audience has with the different content that we produce at different levels of that organization. So we start to identify who's engaging more with different forms of content and different messages of content, and we piece together from that, okay, here's where demand is coming from within this very large global complicated entity. Starts with relevant content, right? So it's never been more important and will continue to always be important to truly understand our clients' needs and what the industry challenges they're facing on, because it all starts with demand. It all starts with content. The way Broadridge approaches the B2B marketing process, we don't do sweepstakes and Super Bowl ads. We invest a lot in content marketing. We are challenged with not just regular awareness things that most B2B marketers are challenged with, but for us, it's also about awareness and reputation and credibility, right? So if you're trying to get in front of somebody and take part of their time, you need to have the credibility to do that with relevant content, with the right people behind that content, and help that build that relationship. So it's important to start everything, not just with how am I going to reach somebody as a demand gen strategy in terms of what tools do I use, but what is the message that I'm getting to them and what is that content? As far as the strategy itself, it's become super important to understand that you're reaching people consistently through multiple channels, right? So it's not just about having a mixture of all the different tools in the marketing toolbox, of course, social, email, traditional channels, offline channels, experiential, et cetera. You want to be able to use those. You want to be able to use them in a smart way, understanding which of the people you're trying to reach are engaging most with those different channels, but also making sure that across that different ecosystem, across those different channels, you're delivering a message consistently. You're neither stepping on yourself nor stepping on other marketing teams or anything like that, so that you have a consistent message to that entire buying center. The other aspect that I think is important to note in this environment is giving people the options to engage with your message differently, to engage with your content differently. So when we're producing a piece of thought leadership about adoption of a particular technology or about the impact of a particular regulation, that may take one message, one piece of knowledge, might take very different forms. Of course, webinar, there will be a white paper, there will be an infographic, there might be a video, there might be a podcast, there might be 14 different things. And we don't expect any one member of our audience to interact with and engage with all of those. They get to self-select what's the best way for them to reach that content. And that leads us to invest a lot in thinking about not just creating the content and getting it out to people, but it's so important to create the right content experience for them once you actually have their attention. So if I send you an email or I reach you on social media or one of the other channels that we use, and I try to engage you in a conversation, how am I actually delivering that? We've invested in various tools that make that happen. So obviously there's a lot of marketing automation, like I'm sure most of your other listeners have as well, but there's things like content experience management. We've invested in a tool called Path Factory, which lets us structure our entire buyer journey in terms of how we want to lead that firm down there with content. and make that an experience where they can binge that content if they want, where they don't have to wait for me to send the next nurture email next week. If they are engaged, I send them an infographic and they love it, they get to read the next piece of content, the next one, and the next one right there, in the same way that when you go to Amazon or you on Netflix, right, you're watching a show, it says, you might also like this. We provide them that better experience to consume it the way that they want to consume it. The side benefit of that is we also get a lot of good intelligence, back to the first question of identifying the demand. We get to understand if somebody clicks on an email and downloads the white paper, that's one piece of important information, of course. But if we invest in an experience where we can say, not only did they download the white paper, they got to page 7 out of 10. And then they also watched the video, and then they looked at the case study. And now it appears that they spent 30 minutes of their time clicking around on the website in that same interaction. Well, to me, that's a much warmer lead to be able to pass over to our sales organization. It tells us a lot more about the process. So the challenges around that are really the same as they were before the pandemic, right? So it's creating that relevant, credible content. And like I said, the dependency on that is being really close to your clients, close to the industry, and understanding what their challenges are and how that's impacting their business, and forming a point of view from our perspective on how things are going to change and impact their business so that we can actually provide them with that value. The challenge now is that all of us, the vendors, the audience, et cetera, we're all reacting to a different way of working. We're reacting to different environmental challenges. We're reacting to different economic challenges and political changes across the different regions in which we operate. So it becomes more of a challenge to understand and predict, or at least to advise to our clients how all this stuff is going to be impacting their business, their industry. It's important to keep doing that, and it just becomes a challenge throughout this environment. It would be the wrong move for firms like ours to say, okay, well, I still need to produce some volume of content to be in front of people, so I'm just going to talk about how great my product is. Or we have a new widget, and I'm going to do a lot of content around the features and functions of a particular widget. And that's a trap that I think a lot of marketers fall into, right? Nobody wants to hear about your widget, even if it is the most wonderful thing out there. People want to hear about how you are going to solve their business problems. And yeah, by the way, at the end of the day, there might be a widget that I'll buy from you, and it might be a gigantic widget or a small one, but it's all about me, the client, not about you trying to sell me something. So that's probably the biggest challenge that we have. I'd say the other one is understanding who the clients are and the way that they want to communicate with you. So who are the B2B marketers? We use the term who are the personas, right? So the head of operations for a large global bank, might technically be the person who signs the contract for us, right? That person has a team of people who are tasked with putting together a vendor shortlist, being able to qualify out who, what the problems are and prioritize what the projects are going to be for that year. The head of operations who signs our contract is not reading the white paper that we put together, is not reading the brilliant thought leadership that we put together about how AI is changing the industry, et cetera. Maybe if we're lucky, they'll watch a quick video clip, or they'll look at an infographic and use that as a talking point when one of our salespeople builds a relationship and takes them out to play golf or whatever. But I guarantee you, the other people on their team, they better have read the report. They better have read the white paper. So understanding who the players are, who the clients are, how do they want to consume that content, and being able to meet them where they want to be met, right? We all have colleagues in the industry that are facing similar marketing challenges, and one of the things that I hear from other marketers all the time is, we need to do more video. We need to do fewer 10,000 word white papers and more videos. And it's important to understand, okay, well, video has a place, and the white paper has a place, and you're probably sending the same message to different people in different ways, which is important, but you need to understand who those people are, right? So that's the challenge around doing all this effectively, right? To be able to measure the results around it. When you're dealing with, buying processes that we deal with and the way that we structure our sales organization, it's like I said, typically very large, impactful projects in terms of software and services to these clients requires deep level relationships with salespeople who have years and years of experience in the industry and have built up these relationships. So it's important for me as the marketing partner to those organizations to not pass them crap leads, right, and waste their time. And God forbid I give them a list, here, go smile and dial, right? That's just not the way that we operate. So it becomes really important for marketing to be able to provide the real data around the lead that we're passing, and what is the engagement, and who are these people, and why do we think it's qualified, and to provide the context of that engagement. So I talked about the ways that we can look at the what content are they binging on, where are they truly engaging most in terms of what topic. And it's our client, the prospect might be a bank that we think does A, B, and C, but really they're interested in right now in this particular regulation that we're publishing stuff on. And we didn't even think of that because most of their operation is in one jurisdiction. The regulation is in Europe. Guess what? It's important to them. So I need to be able to provide that information out to sales. Marketing could provide a lot of that in terms of data, analytics, the behaviors that we watch at a mass scale. But the other part of that is you can't get around the human element, right? So you need to have people who are qualified, who are motivated, and who are enabled by marketing and by sales to be able to have those initial conversations and qualify out what is it that you're actually looking for. Is there a need? Is there a need that we could possibly solve, or is this more a long-term conversation? And be able to provide that ultimately to the salesperson. So we've invested a lot, not just in developing our, what other firms would call an inside sales desk or a BDR desk, right? We call it our lead gen team, hugely talented, energetic people. But we've invested so much in the interlock between marketing and that organization to make sure that we're passing knowledge back and forth, to make sure that we're arming them with the context of what we're asking them to look at, and helping them understand how to pick out from the conversation that they're having with one of the prospect that may be engaging with something, and understand what they're asking for when they don't know how to ask for it, because a lot of what we're selling is esoteric and sometimes as well as disruptive technologies, et cetera. So it's critical to invest in the right people in that process, as well as the right technology and the marketing processes that provide that data and that information to those teams. And all of that together, if you do it correctly, and I feel that we're 99% of the way there, provides a very valuable feedback loop, right? So marketing learns a lot from those human interactions when a lead actually comes in the door. What's been working out of the 12 things we said, this is the one that really resonated, which was not the one that we were focusing on. So that tells us how to refine our message and how to go almost at an ABM level and identify, okay, well, this type of firm turned out to be most receptive to this. Let's go find other firms that look just like that. Or this is the role that we got, that reacted to the white paper that we sent out, and we were actually targeting this other job title over here. Guess what? We now need to look through our database and make sure that we're including these people as part of that profile. So it becomes a virtuous cycle if you arm people the right way.